it's the Warhipster here, coming at you with another Contrast Plus painting tutorial, and today we are painting the magnificent new Realmgore Ritualist. And when I say magnificent new, look at that magnificent table altar. I absolutely adore it. I think it's fantastic. I just really like the carved runes. I think it just looks amazing. Anyway, we're going to be painting it up for you today, and the Realmgore Ritualist was sent to me only by Games Workshop for that very purpose, and that is exactly what we are doing now. So, without any further ado, it has been primed in Wraithbone. And the colour we're going to be using first is not a contrast paint. It is in fact Bloodreaver Flesh. And that's because this is an absolute perfect flesh tone for all of the skin. So that's exactly where we're going to be applying it. We're going to apply this over the top of all of our Realmgore Ritualist's flesh. Just like this. It might take a couple of thin coats because this is a layer paint that we are applying straight over a primer. So that's okay. Just take your time. Get it all over all of the skin areas. And then once that's done, come back. So with that all done, what we're going to do is move on to the next colour, and that is going to be some Black Legion. And we're going to apply this over the top of all of the kind of fabric. So this is the kind of skirts, tabards, things like that, as well as the shirt and the backs of the boots. And so with that Black Legion applied to all of these details, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some Flesh Tearers Red. I'm going to apply this over the top of all of the armour. So we're going to start down here on this leg. We've got the arm guards as well. And then we've also got the headgear. So with that Flesh Tearers Red applied, what we're now going to do is we're going to take two colours, Agrax Earthshade and Skeleton Horde. And what we're going to do is we're going to take this Agrax Earthshade on our brush first, and we're going to apply this over the top of the skull here on the back. Just like this. And then what we're also going to do is we're going to take that Agrax Earthshade and we're going to apply this over the top of the horns at the back here. Now what we want to do is we want to take the Skeleton Horde in just a moment. I'm going to do a tiny little bit of blending here. So I'm going to make sure we get it all over that bit just there, like that. Then we're going to wash the brush, grab a little bit of Skeleton Horde, that's way too much, and we're going to apply this up to around about that kind of knobble just there. And then we're going to wash the brush, grab a little bit more Agrax Earthshade, and apply this in there like that. And we don't have to do too much in the way of kind of blending things together because the paints are nice and thin, so they're already kind of doing it for us. So we're just going to go ahead and do the inside of the horn as well. Like that. Grab a little bit of skeleton horde and then just drop it in there like so. So with that done, what we're then going to do is take Agrax Earthshade on its own. I'm going to apply this over the top of the skull mask just here on the front. Like that. And we're also going to apply this over the top of this little fabric wrap around the bicep. And so now, using Skeleton Horde on its own, we're going to apply this over the top of all the skulls. So with that now done, what we're going to do is we're going to take two colours, Basilicanum Grey and Black Templar, and we're going to apply this over the top of this little kind of contraption here, as well as on the other side, and these horns up here. And we're going to be doing the same thing across both. So what we're going to do is we're going to take Basilicanum Grey on our brush first, and we don't need very much here because we want a nice grey tone. So we're going to apply Basilicanum Grey over the top. Like that. We're then going to wash the brush, grab a little bit of Black Templar, and then towards the base, do around about halfway up, take it across there as well. We're going to apply the Black Templar. I'm going to grab a little bit more Basilicanum Grey. And we're just going to use this to blend the two colours together. Like that sort of thing. And we're going to do the same thing on those side bits. So with that now done, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Cygor Brown. And we're going to use this to paint in any of our remaining leather. So we've got some of the strapping around here. Like that. And we've got the belt and pouches as well. So with that Cygor Brown applied, we're now going to take three colours, Gryph-Charger Grey, Skeleton Horde, and Black Templar. I'm going to do this on his bone knife. So what we're going to do first is we're going to take Gryph-Charger Grey and we're going to apply this all over the top of said knife. like this. I'll just go around on the back very quickly. Like so. Then we're going to wash the brush. Grab a little skeleton horde. I'm going to add this in around about that kind of area. Like that. And then we're going to take what we've just kind of mixed on our brush and apply it over the top of this kind of, well, the pommel of the knife. Like that. We're then going to wash the brush and grab a little bit of black Templar, and over the top of this area up here we're going to apply the black Templar and around there just towards the base of the blade. Like that. And then finally, just to sort it all out, we go back to a bit of Gryph-Charger Grey and we use this to kind of move around the paint, particularly on the bottom area. So with that now done, what we're going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Iron Warriors. We're going to apply this over the top of all of our silver details. Now this is going to include areas like the staff, like that. We've got the head of the skull at the top here as well. And so with that Iron Warriors all applied, the last colour we're going to apply is going to be some thinned down Balthasar Gold. So with that done, all of our base coats are now on, so it's time to add some shades to the model. And the first one we're going to add is Carroburg Crimson. And we're going to apply this over the top of all of our red. So with that Carroburg Crimson applied, we're then going to take Targor Rageshade. I'm going to apply this over the top of the skin. And with that Targor Rageshade applied, we're then going to take some Nuln Oil and we're going to apply this over the top of all of the black, all of the silver, and we're going to apply this over the top of our Basilicanum Grey and black Templar horns. So for example, this one just here. And this one there. Just like this. So with that Nuln Oil applied, we're then going to take some Athonian Camoshade and we're going to apply this over the top of the dagger. Just down here. Just to give it that slight dirty green tinge that it has. And for our final shade, we're going to once again take some Targor Rageshade, and we're going to use this to shade the Balthasar Gold. I'm not going to lie to you, I forgot to do it earlier, and I thought I'll just try and pass this off as this was a reason behind this, behind the gap, but there isn't. It's just my own foolishness. So with that done, our Realmgore Ritualist is now what I would call a Warhipster battle ready, and she's looking pretty cool. However, we're not going to leave her there. No, we're going to take it to the next level, and we're going to do this by adding some layers and some highlights. Now the first one is we're going to take a roughly 1-to-1 mix of Knight-Questor Flesh and Bloodreaver Flesh, and we're effectively going to use this to relayer all the skin. So we just want to take it up just a tiny little tone from where it was before. However, what we don't want to do is apply this to any of the kind of slightly darker areas. So for example, the back of the kneecap, just here. For example, on this leg as well, got a little bit just nestling down. And so with that now done, we're then going to take some Knight-Questor Flesh on its own. I'm going to use this to just pick out the sharpest points in all the flesh, and mercifully there aren't very many of these. We've just got the fingers and the chin and the lips. So with that, all of the flesh is now finished. So what we're going to do is move on to all of the black details. And the colour we're going to be using to highlight these is Dawnstone. Now we do want to apply this over the top of all of the kind of the leather details that we've got at the back here, over the top of all of the kind of cloth and straps and things. But one thing we're just going to avoid for the moment is those horns, because they are a lot brighter. And at this point it'd be wasted effort to highlight it with the Dawnstone. So with that Dawnstone all applied, we're then going to take some Administratum Grey, and this is where we're going to highlight those bones, and we're going to add a little bit of a spot highlight. So we're going to start taking that Administratum Grey. We're going to use this to highlight like this. Same thing on the horns. A bit like that. But on the rest of the black details, we're going to use a tiny little bit of Administratum Grey to just pick out the sharpest corners. So with that Administratum Grey applied, A lot of our black details are nearly finished. The horns aren't quite there, but we'll get to them in just a minute. So what we're going to do next, before we do that, is we're going to take some thinned down Evil Sunz Scarlet. I'm going to use this to highlight all of the red. So with all of that Evil Sunz Scarlet applied, we're then going to take some Fire Dragon Bright and we're going to apply this to the sharpest corners on the red. So with that done, all of the red is now finished. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some Screaming Skull. I'm going to use this to highlight the skulls. Like that. And then we're also going to use this to highlight the base of our horns on the back here. So we've got this bit here, this bit here, bit that comes around here, this little nubbin. Like that. We don't need to go all the way up because that's the different colour. It's going to be slightly brighter. And so with that Screaming Skull all applied, we then take some Pallid Wych Flesh. We use this to highlight the tops of those horns on the back. Use this as a little spot highlight in amongst the Screaming Skull areas. We use this to highlight the dagger. And we use this as a spot highlight on the horns on the mask. Just picking out those kind of top bits. Like that. And we use this to highlight our horns at the top of the staff as well. It's a lot of Pallid Wych Flesh. So with that done, the model really has taken a massive leap forward. So we're now on the final stretch here. And what we're going to do is we're going to take some Gorthor Brown. I'm going to use this to highlight a couple of our brown leather details. Just add a little bit of structure. So with that Gorthor Brown applied to both our little bags, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some Iron Hand Steel. I'm going to use this to highlight all of the silver. Including picking out the studs in the armour. And so with that Iron Hand Steel applied, what we're then going to do is take some Runelord Brass, not Iron Warriors. We're going to use Runelord Brass. I'm going to use this to highlight all of the Balthasar Gold areas. So with that now done, we've just got one last thing left to do, and that's a little bit of orange glow. So we have some going on up here in the staff, and we do have the eyes as well, but the eyes are slightly different to what we're going to do on the staff. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Fire Dragon Bright, and we're going to thin it down with 3 or 4 parts water. And we're just going to drop this inside the eyes. And the nose of the skull head at the top of the staff, like that. So once that Fire Dragon Bright is dry, what we then do is take Gryph-Hound Orange, and we're going to apply this over the top of it. like that, and then over the eyes in the mask as well. So with that done, our Realmgore Ritualist is now finished, but we do still need to do that altar, and there's a couple of really cool things on it. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a roughly 1-to-1 mix of Contrast Medium and Basilicanum Grey, and we're going to apply this over the top of all the stone. So with that Basilicanum Grey and Contrast Medium mix applied, we're then going to take some Skeleton Horde and we're going to apply that over the top of the bones. On the top of the altar. And with that done, we're then going to take two colours, Athonian Camoshade and Blood for the Blood God. And I'm going to apply this in little patches on the top of the altar. So we're going to take some Athonian Camoshade first, and we're going to apply a little bit of it just kind of around there. Just kind of in a little bit of a stippling motion. I'm going to apply some of it around there as well, like so. And we're going to go and pop a little bit of patch of it just in there, like that. And then we can also add a little bit of this around the rest of the altar as well, like that. Then what we're going to do is wash the brush, grab a little bit of Blood for the Blood God, and then in areas like around this rune, we're going to again stipple this in at the same time so it kind of blends with the Athonian Camoshade. We're going to add a little gore splatter of it just around there as well, like so. Grab a little bit more, like that. We can just build this up here. And so with that all done to the base, what we're then going to do is take some Administratum Grey. I'm going to use this to dry brush over the top. It's a little bit too much on my brush there, but that's okay. We're just going to hit the edges. Add a little bit of this to the top here as well. And come underneath. I've missed a skull back there. So with some Stirland Battlemire, a little dry brush of Tyrant Skull and some tufts added to the base, our Realmgore Ritualist is now finished. And it's a really cool little addition to the Blades of Khorne and the Bloodbound. And I quite like it. I'm not sure we needed another priest. Maybe another kind of punchy hero would have been really awesome. But we got another priest nonetheless, and I quite like it. I really like the table. I think the altar looks great. And I love that the runes are all carved into it with that infernal anatheme or dagger. If you enjoyed this video, you love the channel, and you want to support me further like these legends and bosses on the screen before you, you can do so. Head to patreon.com/warhipster or head to ko-fi.com/warhipster. Alternatively, you could become a YouTube member by heading to the channel page and clicking on the join button just here, just like these amazing, wonderful people have done. And if you really like this video or you just want to shoot me some support, you can click on the thanks button just below this video. Don't forget to share it, like it, comment on it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And to make sure you stay up to date, don't forget to click the bell icon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon in the next one. Happy wargaming.